Hello everyone, how are you doing? I'm doing great. In this video, I'm going to discuss the Grimm Variations, an anthology series based on 6 of the famous stories by the brothers Grimm, namely Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel, The Elves and the Shoemaker, The Town Musicians of Bremen, and The Pied Piper of Hamelin. Before watching each episode, I refamiliarized myself with the original stories because I had a feeling that these anime retellings would have more in common with the Grimm stories than with the Disney versions that we come to be familiar with. Like in the telling of the story of Little Red Riding Hood, they often leave out the part where they filled the wolf's belly with stones and sewed him back up, or that Cinderella's stepsisters had their eyes plucked out by birds. Before each episode, there's a little scene of the Grimm family, the 2 brothers and their sister, having some kind of discussion related to the story that's about to be told. The style is very storybook-esque and I really like it. The order that I'm going to be talking about these stories is not how they appear in the anime and more on the level of how much I enjoyed them. So I suppose in a way you could see this as a ranking. And if you disagree with me, just don't be mean about it. This story takes place in a dystopian world where the elite live on raised platforms while the riffraff are relegated to the ruined depths below. There are hardly any animals or real food, as people say things like, "I found a real bottle of wine," or "this place doesn't serve real steaks," or "oh my god, is that a real bird?" To cope with the sheer awfulness of real life, people escape into a beautiful unreality where everything is great and wonderful and you can be anyone you want.
This isn't supposed to happen!
In this world, the line between authentic and fake is completely blurred. What can even be considered real? Does real mean anything?
The story follows Gray, our wolf. He is rich, handsome, and charming enough to get what he wants. Charming enough to lure many women into his trap, so that he can kill them. He sees himself as a hunter. He lives on that raised platform and so occupies a more privileged position in society. He is at his most animated when covered in blood, inflicting violence. But he's bored of this game, bored of abiding by the rules of the rich man murder club he's part of. He wants more. So he climbs down from his castle and ventures out into the outskirts of the city, where he arranges a real hunt. No fake realities, both of them in the real world, both participants aware of the stakes. Scarlet is his target, and you'll notice her red hood. So we can assume that this is our Little Red Riding Hood, the prey. On the specified date, he once more ventures out into the unknown forest, seeking his target. Pretty and petite, he finds her just as she's being attacked by some other wolf, a lesser wolf. He helps her and they get away. The hunter and the hunted have a sweet moment afterward, and Gray can't help but be seduced by those big, pretty eyes. He likes her, and doesn't that make this hunt all the more sweet? He gets himself an invite to her place, and so she guides him deeper into the unfamiliar territory. Off the beaten path, you could say. She's so small and he's so big. He's confident in his ability to land this prey. After all, he's done this so many times. Well, maybe not this exactly, but close enough.
Never had the real thing?
It's your scent. It's exactly the same as mine.
Don't know why you down some unfamiliar liquid in a strange place with a woman you're planning to kill, but I guess man has been living in his gilded cage for far too long. And once he ventured out, the real wolf got him in her teeth.
Oh, what big hands you have. They're so strong. With thick fingers. Oh, and your eyes. They're so big and sharp. They seem like they could see through anything, no matter how small or distant.
So in this story, Little Red Riding Hood saves herself and kills the wolf. She didn't fill his belly with rocks, but she did leave him in several pieces. Or you could say that Scarlet was the true wolf all along. Grey strayed off the familiar path and wandered into the forest. Also, Scarlet's hood has bunny ears on it, implying she's the one wearing a disguise. I like that interpretation more. In the original story, the wolf is the one who lays the trap. He convinces Little Red Riding Hood to get off of the safe path and go deeper and deeper into the forest by suggesting that she collect flowers for her grandmother. So she wants to get nicer and nicer flowers. She goes deeper and deeper into the forest. And then he goes ahead and waits for her at the grandmother's house. In this story, she only pretended to be vulnerable. She made herself the flower, and he was so desperate to pick her that he ignored all other signs of danger. He went deeper and deeper into the forest willingly and stepped right into her trap. So I think in this case, Scarlet is the wolf and Grey is Little Red Riding Hood. I wasn't super familiar with the story myself, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown. If you already know it, just fast forward a little bit. A shoemaker is about to go out of business. He's broke and only has enough leather for one pair of shoes. He cuts up the leather and goes to bed. When he wakes in the morning, the leather has been fashioned into a stunning pair of shoes that sound very well. He can buy leather for 2 pairs of shoes now. And once again, he cuts up the leather and goes to bed. When he wakes up, there's 2 stunning pairs of shoes, and this goes on until he becomes a rich and successful man. One day he and his wife decide to stay up late to see who's been making all these shoes, and it's these little elves. The wife makes them fine clothes for all of their hard work. They're so pleased with these wonderful clothes that they decide to leave and go out into the world. They're fancy elves now and don't need to be making no shoes. They leave, and the shoemaker's business continues to do well, eternally grateful to the elves who helped him get started. So as you can see, this is a happy story in which no one is maimed or killed or suffers at all. Happily ever after. N is a writer whose last success was many years ago. He's struggling with his current manuscript but just can't figure it out. N is voiced by KG Tang, who does Gojo and Dazai and many others. This performance is different from others I've seen from him, and I thought it was really great. N's new editor doesn't like his new manuscript, From the Shores of Stupor, and blows him off. Hopeless, frustrated, and sad, he winds up drinking sake in the park. He tears up his manuscript and lets it fly in the wind. A mysterious girl picks up the torn pages and begins giving him feedback. This criticism is harsh but true. It probably could be really helpful. He's not truly hearing her, though. He's more embarrassed than anything else.
Anyone who considers themselves to be a professional of words should never neglect them at any given time.
I hate annoying brats like you. Get out of my face.
Oh yeah? Well, that's too bad. You have no skill when it comes to writing or listening, it seems. I'm only joking with you. Goodbye.
And then she's gone. The next day, he wakes to find a completed short story manuscript on his desk. It's in his handwriting, but he has no memory of writing it. The sentences and word choices remind him of his own style, but he searches his mind and can find no traces of this particular story. On a whim, he sends it to his new editor, and the guy loves it, way more than From the Shores of Stupor. The story is published and it's a huge success. Everyone loves it. The Wonder Kid is back from his hiatus and everyone wants to see what he'll produce next. Now publishers are knocking down his door with offers. He offers them his own manuscript from the shores of Stupa, but they do not want it.
I read it, and it seemed like you were not your usual self. Something was off.
Are you trying to insinuate that I've gone crazy or something?
Was this perhaps written by a student of yours? It's too unrefined.
Are you accusing me of having someone else write this for me? Really?
I mean, if someone else with less talent or experience wrote it, then that would explain the quality. Because if I'm looking at this novel objectively...
Enough.
Ouch. That one really stings. But he does have options. Manuscripts keep appearing on his table. N is heartbroken and kind of defeated. He resigns himself and accepts this new fate. No one wants his own work. They only want these stories that just keep appearing. He doesn't even understand them or why people like him, but they're in his handwriting, so they must be his, right? He doesn't get the themes or messages, but they're his, right? Who else could they come from? Time passes and he becomes rich and well known. Bestsellers and fancy lists and awards and daytime TV show appearances. N is on top of the world. And then one day he finds himself back in his old town, in front of his old building, now condemned. And how did he even get here? He sees the shadow of himself, steadfastly working at his desk, a ghost from times long gone. Does he even do that anymore? When was the last time he wrote? Confused and upset, he runs and winds up in the park where he met that strange girl. She hasn't changed at all. While he's spiraling, wondering what he's even doing here, she asks about his book, the one she read last time they met. He tells her he's got 3 books coming out by the end of the year. Not those, she says. Your own manuscript, the one that you were working on. How is it going? Gave up on it, he says. He never tried to figure it out. Never tried to incorporate some of her feedback.
It was me, wasn't it? Why won't you say I wrote them?
But you know the answer to that better than anyone, isn't that right?
I can't tell.
You can't?
The handwriting. It is mine.
N is really fighting against the truth that all this success is not solely the result of his own hard work. Unlike the shoemaker and his wife, he does not stay up to see who is writing these stories. He could even just set up a camera at his desk, but he doesn't. And even worse, he pities himself. He wants the elf to pity him too.
It's like I slipped into another dimension, trapped here forever in solitude. So painfully alone. I'm terrified. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Then how could anyone be expected to keep their sanity living like that?
And then we see a glimpse of an alternate reality, one in which he kept working on From the Shores of Stupa. He's got a wife and a baby, and his neighbors like his book, and it looks really wonderful. Then we see him back on the bench, and now he's old, and he's got a crumpled copy of that old manuscript, which he lets fly off in the wind. Next we see a breaking news reporting on his sudden death, but the image shown is him as a young man, so I'm genuinely unsure what this old man version of him means. Is it indicating how he felt on the inside, full of regret that he didn't complete that manuscript? Is it him in the future after that girl stopped giving him all those stories? He just became a drunk filled with regrets and that news story just happened to use an old image of him? Unknown. The Grimm version of the story is a positive one with a happy ending. The shoemaker and his wife gave thanks to the elves and continued their business after they had gone. N never acknowledges that the stories are not his. never gives gratitude for the help he received, instead finding a way to claim the work as his own, against reason, against his own instincts. And because he refuses to acknowledge this, the gift is taken away from him. And so, by refusing to acknowledge all the help that he's received along the way and looking to claim all of that work as his own, he loses that help and is left floundering on his own. He stopped putting in any of his own work. He wasn't grateful for the work that was done on his behalf, and so he lost everything. I'm a little bit all over the place on this one. I liked some aspects, disliked others. I think it could have benefited from being longer or focusing a little more on certain aspects of the story and not others. But we'll go through it and let me know what you think in the comments. I wasn't too familiar with this original story myself, so if you are not either, I will give you a rundown of the town musicians of Bremen. A hard-working donkey has been toiling for his owner for years and years and years, but he's beginning to slow down, so the owner contemplates getting rid of him. The donkey takes matters into his own hands and decides to go to Bremen to become a musician. On the way, he comes across an out-of-breath dog and asks the dog, "What's up, my guy?" And the dog explains that now that he's old, he can't hunt as well as he used to, and his master was going to shoot him. So the donkey says, "Come with me and be a drummer in Bremen." Then they come across a cat whose owner wanted to drown her because she's too old to hunt mice. So the donkey says, "Come with me, my girl, this band is getting bigger and bigger." Next they come across a rooster who is letting out his last cockle-doodle-doos before he becomes dinner. So the donkey says, "Come with us, my friend, we'll be musicians in Bremen." Night falls and they spot a robber's house, which I took to be a house in the middle of the woods where robbers go with the spoils of all of their criminal activity. The donkey peeks into the window and sees a healthy spread on the table, so he thinks to himself, "Now is our opportunity. This is the first chance for us to sing for our supper, our first performance as musicians." So all of the animals burst in through the window, making a bunch of noise, and the thieves get scared and run away, believing that they are under attack by some kind of supernatural entity. So the animals make themselves comfortable and enjoy the healthy spread before going to bed. Later on, one of the thieves comes back, and then he has a whole series of interactions with the animals, which leads him to believe that there is a witch living in the house who has like a ghost and like some demons, and it's not on, and they can never ever return to that house. And so the animals make that their home. They never leave and live happily ever after in the robber's house in the woods, making music for each other. Mad Dog is a former sheriff fired for going after the bad guys instead of maintaining the status quo. After handing in her badge, she starts walking to Bremen. She is joined by Donkey, this fantastic muscle mommy queen who is ostracized from her male-dominated workplace. Then there's Kat, who is a woman of the night who doesn't want to go with just anyone, and the three of them make their way to Bremen. And it happens this quickly in the story. This is my biggest gripe, that we don't see them meet each other and decide to become a group. I would have been happy with them just stumbling across each other like they do in the original story. I don't like that we only see them once they're together and walking to Bremen. I wanted some dialogue, some group dynamics or something. I wanted the donkey to say, "Don't worry about that, my guys. Let's go become musicians in Bremen." Dog, Donkey, and Cat come across a young girl who works for the criminals, the Wade brothers. She's their lookout. She warns them not to go to the saloon in the next town because of the Wade brothers, and if they do go, she will have to go ahead of them and warn the brothers that they're coming. Dog thanks her for their warning, and they continue on their way, fully intending to go to the saloon. And as the girl said, she runs ahead and warns the brothers that potential marks are on their way. When the three women arrive, they just want some food and a room and a shower, but these brothers are harassing them and being just what you'd expect. Dog lies, saying she's a sheriff who's got backup coming, backup who are even stronger than she is. Then she kills one of them to drive the point home. So if she's this strong, can you imagine how strong her backup is going to be? They leave and return to their base, but come back later with more men when they realize she was probably lying. Our band of merry women knew this would happen and were prepared with booby traps and a plan. The ensuing fights are the longest segment of the episode, and while it's cool and all, I would have preferred to learn more about the women and see them interacting with each other. In the original story, I really like this unifying theme that keeps getting repeated. Let's go to Bremen and become musicians. And I wish that they had something similar, some statement that unified them, like, we're going to Bremen for XYZ. I mean, eventually they do say that they're going to make a home, that they're trying to make a home for themselves. But they only say that, Mad Dog only says that towards the end of the episode. Like, it should have been something that recurred the way it recurs in the story, in the original story. In the end, they eliminate the brothers and basically move themselves into the saloon, taking over its running and creating their new home. So this one is pretty much the same as the original story. Less to really mull over, but I did like it. It only felt a little bit shallow. Also, this girl joins them and is named Rooster. Also, Muscle Mommy is the chef, and isn't it great that she can cook?
Mama and Papa wake us up every day. After eating breakfast, Papa teaches us lessons in the classroom. Mama cleans and does laundry for us. If we get too close to the fence, we'll get sent to the detention room.
Hansel and Gretel live at this mysterious home for children. Papa teaches the children fairly advanced science, more complex than you'd expect for children of this age. When they play dodgeball, they're not allowed to chase after the ball. They cannot cross the boundary. Mama will fetch the ball. The children obey. Though Mama and Papa seem a little weird and kind of cold, they are kind to the children and do not hurt them. They do care for them. Hansel and Gretel are often on the sidelines, not playing dodgeball with the other kids, doing their own thing and often finding themselves in detention. Because of this constant rule breaking, Mama and Papa punish them by making them spend the night in the forest that surrounds the school. Hansel is afraid and would prefer to stay close to the fence, but Gretel pushes them to venture deeper into the forest until they come across a house. They enter and find a wonderful spread that they begin to eat. An old woman appears and begins asking them cryptic questions, poking and prodding to get them to think a little deeper about their world.
The ends of this world are more important than textbooks.
The ends?
The world doesn't have an end. There aren't any edges.
Oh, is that so, young man? In this world, you'll find dead ends all over. Believe me, there are ends.
That can't be true. You're lying.
I'm sure you play ball from time to time at your school?
Yeah, we play a lot.
We do, but...
If the ball were to go beyond the boundaries of the fence, all you would need to do is chase after it, on your own 2 feet.
And then they begin to notice things. Hansel follows the ball and sees the end of the world. They realize that children have been disappearing and they kind of didn't notice. What exactly is all this even for? They return to the old woman. This time Hansel leads the way. She gives them special candy to guide them on their journey of discovery. They use that candy to step into the invisible barrier and into a spacecraft. They explore this new place, discovering files on themselves and all the other children, including those who have since disappeared. When Mama comes, they run from her, confused and afraid by what they have discovered. When Hansel is in danger of being crushed in a metal door, she throws herself forward to save him, and we discover that she's a robot. And that's not all they discover.
But soon they discovered that life was no longer going to be sustainable on that planet. The snowball Earth theory. Humanity banked its hopes on different survival strategies, ultimately deciding it was best to leave their offspring behind. We're tasked with taking care of and raising human children like you. And when you're deemed strong enough to live in the outside world on your own, I send you out to join the rest of them.
I didn't like this reveal. I don't think it makes the story bad, but for me it just missed the mark. I can't exactly articulate why, but I would have preferred they were on Earth and not space, and perhaps under the observation of some kind of sinister entity. In this story, the children are never in danger, and there's nothing to defeat. And to make matters worse, Gretel is not real, simply a figment of Hansel's imagination. I did not like this either.
You just sit comfortably and the machine will take care of the rest. When you wake up, you'll be in the new world.
But wait a minute, there's only one seat in here. So where would Gretel fit?
I can't go with you, unfortunately.
Why?
I'm in your head and no one else can see me but you.
Now that he's found his bravery, he's ready to return to Earth. In the original story, the witch fattens Hansel up so that he's nice and juicy when she decides to eat him. In this story, the children are being fed and nurtured for the purpose of returning them to human civilization. So there's a link here, being prepared for some other thing. I wish that Hansel had an opportunity to be clever and outsmart someone or something like he does in the fairy tale by holding out a stick to trick the witch into thinking he's still skinny. Perhaps the journey of him becoming brave, protecting his sister, and no longer needing an imaginary friend to push him into doing different things serves that same purpose. But, as I said before, the last chunk of the story didn't really give me that satisfied feeling that I kind of wanted to get. In this retelling of Cinderella, she is the architect of everyone else's misfortune. Throughout the episode, we see two little birds in a cage, symbolizing the two stepsisters in Cinderella's cage. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The story begins with the handsome and honorable Viscount Otawara proposing marriage to a woman with two daughters, who are both older than his young daughter Kyoko. This whole proposal was Kyoko's idea in the first place and takes stepmom by surprise because she's just a common woman and with two daughters as well. The marriage moves swiftly and stepmom and her daughters move into the Otawara household, which is far fancier than anything they've experienced before. As per the original story, the stepsisters are horrible, but in this story I get why. They're prickly and on the defensive because they imagine that everyone is looking down on them, thinking them lucky for the good fortune of the Viscount's interest. A single woman with two daughters, you can imagine how they've been treated in the past, so their hostility to the world at large makes sense. And they do catch the servants saying bad things about them. It's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're nasty to the servants, and then the servants gossip and disparage them, and then they be even cooler to the staff, and so on and so forth. Kyoko has this cute little doll she carries around with her, and the doll is alive and speaks to her, but it's never explained if this doll is possessed or something. So perhaps their interactions are all in Kyoko's mind. That's my guess. I think it's all in her head. In any case, the doll is her confidant and partner in crime. And what are the crimes being committed? Kyoko sees everyone in her household as her dolls, and she wants to play with them until they break. She puts on an outwardly sweet and humble appearance, making that she's so devoted to her sisters that she wishes to wait on them hand and foot. She gives them her most prized possessions and wears the clothes of a servant. She creates situations in which the sisters are put in the position to behave badly or frames them for bad behavior, then comes to their rescue, begging her father to forgive and cherish her sisters just like she does. Because of this, the two girls are always on edge, wondering what she's up to.
Don't blame them. I think they were only trying to help keep me from falling down the stairs. that her hand struck me when it did. So please, don't punish her because I fell down the stairs. It was all my fault.
Do you wish to forgive your sisters?
Of course I forgive them, Papa. Because that's what you do when you're a family.
The handsome and honorable Viscount decides to send the girls away to protect his lovely daughter, but he tragically dies before that can happen. And yes, Kyoko did kill him. So even though her father has died, she's celebrating because now she and her sisters can be together forever. After a time jump of 5 years, we see that the dynamic that Kyoko set up has only deepened. She's managed to isolate her stepmother from her daughters, delivering her special bitter medicine herself to treat her mysterious illness. The family then receives an invitation to a ball to find a bride for the son of a count. The stepsisters go, seeing an opportunity to escape from the Otawara household. They behave badly, drinking and lashing out at poor sweet Kyoko when she arrives at the ball. The handsome young count engages savior mode and wants to rescue her from her evil family. And while she's busy dancing at the ball, the stepsisters arrive home to discover their mother dead. Kyoko decided she no longer wanted to play with that particular doll.
Those two are such vulgar, boorish tramps. They could never have been fit to be the daughters of a Viscount. I can hardly wait to see how they will behave themselves. You've lasted a long time. You're very tough. But I don't need any broken dolls.
The young count is disgusted by the horrible way that the sisters behave and the cruelty that they've inflicted on poor sweet Kyoko. So he rescues her from their terrible clutches, having the sisters thrown out and marrying the Otawara heiress. And the twist is that the sisters behaved so badly on purpose. They wanted to be kicked out because now they're finally free. And Kyoko acknowledges that they escaped her, outwitting her by manipulating her into marriage with the count. This whole part didn't really gel with me, to be honest. And in terms of the entire story, I do wish there had been more direct parallels to the original story. Kyoko had the makings of an interesting character, and I would have liked to see more of her internal world and a clearer articulation of how she felt about her stepfamily. Before this episode begins, in the little scene of the Grimm family interacting with each other, it is suggested that this episode is not as much a retelling of the story of the Pied Piper, but a potential answer to the question of what happened to the children after they followed the Pied Piper out of the village. Maria is a beautiful, intelligent 17-year-old girl who stares out of the window during class, excited for the rain to come, but still knows the answer to the equation on the board. She says what's on her mind and tends to view the world in a very straightforward way. Her teacher is obsessed with her, and it's as creepy as it sounds. He wants her but cannot have her because she's the granddaughter of the leader, Grand Code, and will become the leader herself one day, and he is just teacher. And this is pretty much the only reason why that relationship wouldn't work, not because she's his student or because she's 17, because this village is run in a way that we would seem, I guess, old-fashioned. It's strict, puritanical, and extremely practical. At school you learn only enough to do whatever work you'll be assigned, probably farming. There's no music or art because what use are those things? Maria is intelligent but does not push against Grand Code's rules. She's told it's time to get married and she accepts. Told who she should marry and she accepts.
Lucas is pretentious and stupid.
What?
He's a big brute, so once we're married, he'll probably raise his hand against me. After all, he loves to bully the weak. But I don't really mind that, since he's the best option. There's no other man more suitable for me, so there's nothing I can do.
Meanwhile, the teacher is out of his mind longing for her, when a stranger knocks at his door asking for help. He refuses quite strongly, which is very unkind of him. In exchange for staying the night, she offers him a painting of two nubbers staring at each other, and he freaks out at this heathen material. Nothing like this is allowed in their village. He turns her away, sending her out into a storm. Though she's going to be married and it doesn't matter anymore, Maria continues attending school. The teacher asks her to stay behind and shows her the picture, and it has a profound effect on her. And now the teacher has something that Maria desires. He uses her curiosity about the picture and the stranger who gave it to him to manipulate her. The only thing that he wants is her. He wants Maria to be his. And her curiosity is so deep, she promises to find a way to convince Grand Code to let her marry him, which the old lady frankly would not do. That kind of a marriage would just not be beneficial enough. And then we discover the teacher has been keeping the stranger in his basement, stealing her belongings and beating her. He finds her flute, and though he's unfamiliar with music, he knows that it can be used to manipulate feelings and emotions, so he asks the stranger to play for him and Maria to get her to fall in love with him. And when the young woman returns to his house, she admits there is no way to convince Grand Code to let her marry him. But she still really wants that picture.
Would you accept something else instead? I know it means a lot to you, and that you're disappointed, but I think I can make your wish come true just once.
Yeah, so this part is like a real Grimm's fairy tale. He takes her to the basement, but the stranger is gone. Maria is furious because now he has not fulfilled his end of the bargain, and she hits him and whacks him into the basement, and maybe she's got some fire to her after all. Grand Code locks her in her bedroom because this harlot was out at night, and nothing good happens late at night. The mysterious stranger finds a good spot and begins playing her flute, exposing the villagers to music for the first time. Some of them hate it, calling it a chaotic noise, but Maria is entranced to break out of her room and follow the sound. Her family and the creepy teacher pursue her, but she is determined. The stranger offers Maria the chance to see the world, its beauty and its ugliness, both greater and worse than anything she has experienced in the village. And she accepts.
Come with me.
Yes, the Pied Piper turned into some kind of portal being thing. She absorbs Maria and adopts her appearance, though keeping her red hair. So if you've ever wondered what happened to the children after they left with the Pied Piper, here is a potential answer. He absorbed them. The Pied Piper of Hamelin is some kind of Frankenstein homunculus creature. I didn't really like this reveal, this twist in the end. I was on board for most of the story. I liked the themes of this really rigid environment that people want to rebel against, even though nobody really does until the very end. Maria goes along with everything that Grand Code says until the very end when she hears the sound of the flute. Or I guess you could say by being with the teacher, she was going against Grand Code's rules. Not that that was an okay thing. That was definitely a bad thing. As soon as that happened, where the Pied Piper opened up and became this portal thing, I was like, what the hell is this? I think I would have preferred if they just walked away together, if the Pied Piper was just some kind of wizard person and they left together like that, rather than being absorbed in a way. Does that mean that the Pied Piper also absorbed all of those rats that time in the village? That first village? That's something to think about. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment if you enjoyed this video. If you have anything to say about the interpretations of the various Grimm stories, I'd love to hear what you think. I'm Kayla. See you in the next one. Have a great day. Have a great week. Bye.